The blackness of space burned with fire. Bright streaks of plasma and missile trails crossed the void like furious brushstrokes. The human fleet fought desperately against the Zyrex swarm, an ancient insectoid race feared for their numbers and brutality. Captain Marcus Hale's dropship shook violently as enemy blasts tore through its shields. Red warning lights flashed, and the pilot's voice screamed over the comms. "Brace for impact! We've lost stabilizers!" The dropship lurched, spinning out of control. Marcus grabbed a handhold, his armored gauntlet locking around the cold steel. His squadmates yelled, but their voices were drowned by the deafening roar of the hull tearing apart. Then, silence. Marcus opened his eyes. His visor's HUD showed chaos. Location unknown. Suit integrity, 78%. Oxygen stable. The rest of the dropship was gone. He floated through debris, pieces of twisted metal glinting in the light of a nearby sun. He spotted the Zyrex dreadnought in the distance, a massive black structure shaped like a thorned crown. Its surface crawled with smaller insectoid craft. One of those craft was heading his way. Marcus gritted his teeth. Of course, they're not letting me go. The small craft swept in, wrapping him in a sticky web of organic tendrils. His suit tried to cut them, but a neurotoxin paralyzed his limbs. Darkness swallowed him again. When Marcus awoke, he was lying on the floor of a vast chamber. The walls pulsed faintly, as if alive. Organic pillars rose toward a high, shadowy ceiling. The air smelled of ozone and something sweet, almost like flowers, but wrong. Figures surrounded him. Tall insectoid warriors, their armor part of their bodies, their limbs ending in blades. They hissed in their native clicks and growls. Then, they stepped aside. A massive figure entered. She was unlike the others, taller, her carapace a deep, iridescent purple. Her crown-like crest shimmered with gold veins, and her black eyes seemed to hold both intelligence and cruelty. This was Queen Zyra, ruler of the Zyrex swarm. Marcus had seen her image in briefing files, but nothing prepared him for the real thing. She radiated presence, like standing before a hurricane that could crush you without effort. "Human," she said, her voice a strange mix of clicks and tones, translated through a hovering drone. "You fought well, but you have lost." Marcus stayed silent. His training told him not to show fear. "You are injured," she continued. Her compound eyes scanned the crack in his armor, where shrapnel had cut deep into his side. "It's nothing," Marcus said through gritted teeth. His suit's auto-med system had slowed the bleeding, but pain still burned through him. The Queen tilted her head. "You think you will die with honor, but I decide if you live or die." Marcus was about to reply when one of her guards stepped forward and shoved him hard. His balance failed, and he fell against the Queen's leg, her armored plating surprisingly warm. His chest plate cracked open, releasing a puff of silver mist. It wasn't just air. It was his suit's emergency nanotech, millions of microscopic machines programmed to heal severe injuries. They flowed over the Queen's wound from an earlier battle, slipping under her carapace before anyone could react. The Queen jerked back. "What is this?" she hissed. Marcus tried to pull away, but the nanotech acted on instinct. It detected damaged biological tissue and moved to repair it. His HUD flashed warnings. Nanotech link unstable. Cross-species integration detected. The guards raised their weapons, but the Queen raised a hand, stopping them. She stood still, her eyes wide. For the first time, Marcus saw something strange in her expression. Not anger, but shock. "I feel stronger," she said slowly. "The weakness in my body, gone." The drone buzzed as it tried to translate her rapid clicking speech. Marcus caught fragments. Dormant life signs. Impossible. The brood. The Queen looked down at him. What have you done, human? I didn't do anything, Marcus said. It's my suit's medical system. It reacts to injuries. Her black eyes narrowed. Your machines have awakened something in me. Something lost for centuries. She stepped closer. The Xyrix swarm has been dying. Our egg chambers lie empty. No queen has produced a brood in 100 cycles. But now, I feel the brood within me stirring. Marcus blinked. Brood? As in... Her mandibles clicked in something that might have been a smile. Life. My people's future. And you. You are the cause. The guards hissed among themselves, their tones angry and fearful. One spoke sharply to the queen, but she silenced him with a piercing shriek. You will not harm him, she commanded. This human is under my protection. Until the brood is born, his life is mine. Marcus felt a cold pit in his stomach. He had no idea what kind of mess he had just stepped into, but it was big. The queen ordered the guards to bring Marcus deeper into the dreadnought. They passed through winding tunnels, each lit by glowing sacks in the walls. Alien drones scuttled. Past, carrying organic machinery and strange crystal shards. At last they entered a vast chamber filled with strange pods. Some were cracked and empty. Others pulsed faintly like hearts. This, the queen said, gesturing with a clawed hand, is the brood chamber. Empty for too long. But now... She placed a clawed hand over her abdomen. Now it will live again. Marcus tried to focus on finding an escape route. His suit's comms were still jammed. His only weapons were a combat knife and whatever tricks his nanotech had left. He scanned the chamber. At least 50 guards stood watch. No escape. For now. The queen stepped closer. Human, you will remain here. You will be fed. You will be guarded. And you will help me protect the brood. Not interested. Marcus said flatly. She leaned in, her voice a low hiss. If you die, the brood dies with you. Your nanotech is linked to them now. You cannot leave without killing them. Is that what you want? To end the future of an entire species? Marcus's jaw tightened. He didn't care about her species. Not really. But if what she said was true, leaving now would make him responsible for a genocide he never meant to cause. He hated moral traps. That night, if it could be called night inside the living ship, Marcus sat on the edge of the small organic cell they gave him. Food was delivered through a fleshy chute in the wall. It tasted like metallic honey and burned slightly in his throat. His thoughts raced. He needed a plan. One that got him back to human lines and kept the brood alive until he figured out how to break this link. Somewhere deep inside the ship, the brood pulsed faintly in his mind. Not a sound, not a sight, but a strange awareness. He had the uneasy feeling that this was only the beginning. The Xyrix dreadnought drifted in the dark void, its surface crawling with repair drones. From the outside, it looked like a monstrous insect frozen in space. Inside, it pulsed with life, warm, wet corridors and chambers beating like a living heart. Marcus Hale walked between two guards, their sharp limbs clicking against the organic floor. The Queen's orders had been clear. He was not to be harmed. But the way the guards' black eyes followed him made it clear they would kill him the second she allowed it. He was escorted to a new chamber, larger than the cell he had before, a circular space with a high, domed ceiling. The walls were lined with strange, glowing vines, and in the center was a platform made of some hard, chitin-like material. "This is your quarters," a drone's mechanical voice translated as one guard spoke. "The Queen has granted you freedom within the inner sanctum. You will not leave it without escort." Marcus looked around. "Generous," he said dryly. The guards ignored him and stepped aside as Queen Zira entered. She moved with the slow, deliberate grace of a predator that feared nothing. Her crest caught the light, flashing deep purples and gold. "Human," she began, her voice low but steady. "You may think you are my prisoner, but in truth, you are necessary." Marcus crossed his arms. "That's one word for it." Her mandibles clicked faintly, the alien equivalent of a smirk. "You saved my life, and more than that, you have given my people a chance to rise again. The brood stirs within me. In a few cycles they will hatch, but already word has spread." She began to pace slowly around him. "Other queens will hear of this. They will see me as a threat. They will come for me and for you." "So what?" Marcus asked. "Why keep me alive? Just let your guards protect you." She stopped in front of him, her black eyes meeting. His visor. "Because if you die, the brood dies. The nanotech in your body is bonded to their life force. It flows between us like a river. Until they hatch, your survival is their survival." Marcus clenched his jaw. He hated being in someone else's game, especially when the rules were alien and twisted. That cycle, Marcus was taken on a tour of the inner sanctum. The brood chamber was the heart of the dreadnought, a vast cavern filled with egg-like pods resting in pools of glowing liquid. Most were still dormant, but Marcus could see faint movement inside a few. He felt a strange tug in his chest when he looked at them, as if his own heartbeat matched their faint pulses. One of the Xerix attendants noticed his reaction. "You feel them, yes? The link is strong." "I feel nothing," Marcus lied. They didn't press the matter, but he knew they didn't believe him. The next night, Marcus tried to rest, but the chamber lights never truly dimmed. His dreams were strange. Visions of alien skies, strange hunting grounds, and a constant chorus of insect clicks that somehow felt familiar. He woke to alarms. The organic walls throbbed red, and the sound of battle echoed through the corridors. The guards outside his chamber chattered rapidly in their native tongue. One of them turned to him. "Stay here. The Queen commands it." Marcus waited until they left. Then he pulled a shard of broken chitin he'd hidden from the brood chamber floor and pried open the wall panel where his suit's systems connected to the room's life support. His comms were still jammed, but he rerouted the feed to tap into the dreadnought's internal sensors. The display in his visor lit up with chaos. Multiple Xyrix life signs going dark, breaches in the outer hull, and at least 2 smaller ships, clamped onto the dreadnought's side. Boarders. He didn't have to guess who they were. Other Xyrix factions, rival queens. The door to his chamber opened suddenly, and Queen Zyra herself entered, flanked by 6 guards. Her crest was lowered, her claws dripping with fresh blood. "Human," she said sharply. "You are coming with me." Marcus hesitated. "Thought you said I wasn't leaving my room?" "That was before assassins breached my sanctum," she snapped. "If they kill you, they kill my brood. You will stay where I can see you." Marcus followed, knowing there was little choice. They moved quickly through twisting corridors until they reached a high balcony overlooking the brood chamber. Below, chaos reigned. Dark-armored Xyrix warriors, clearly from another hive, were tearing through the attendants. A massive insectoid twice the size of the others led them, her carapace black and lined with crimson markings. Another queen. Zyra leaned over the edge, her voice full of venom. "Queen Vara!" The rival queen looked up, her many eyes locking on Zyra. Her mandibles spread in what Marcus guessed was a mocking grin. "So it's true," Vara hissed. "You carry life again, but you will not live to see them hatch." With a shriek, Vara leapt upward, impossibly high, and landed on the balcony. The guards closed in, but she swatted 2 aside with terrifying strength. Marcus didn't think. He lunged forward, slamming his armored shoulder into Vara's side. The impact made her stumble, buying Zyra just enough time to drive her claws into the rival queen's arm. Vera shrieked and leapt back down into the chamber, her warriors covering her retreat. Within moments, they were gone, dragging their dead with them. After the battle, Zira's guards sealed the brood chamber and reinforced the inner sanctum. "You fought well," Zira said to Marcus as they returned to her throne chamber. "Better than I expected from a creature with soft skin." Marcus gave her a sharp look. "Don't get used to it. I didn't do it for you. I did it because I like being alive." Her mandibles clicked in amusement. "The reason matters little. You have proven yourself useful. So now I will give you a choice." She stepped closer, her black eyes unreadable. "Remain here as my protector until the brood hatches, or attempt to escape and face the galaxy's wrath when they learn you killed the only new brood in 100 cycles." Marcus stared at her. He could feel the brood again, faint heartbeats, tiny minds just beginning to form. The link between them wasn't something he could ignore anymore. "Fine," he said finally. "I'll stay, but on one condition. I get to train your guards. If other queens are coming for us, you're going to need more than claws and hissing." Zira tilted her head, considering. Then she nodded slowly. "Agreed. Teach them your human ways of war. But remember, if you betray me, I will end you before the brood takes its first breath." Marcus gave a thin smile. "Fair enough." And so began an uneasy alliance. Over the next cycles, Marcus drilled the Queen's guards in human tactics, flanking maneuvers, crossfire traps, choke point defense. At first, they resisted his orders, thinking his soft human methods were beneath them. But when his training exercises began ending with him killing entire squads using nothing but misdirection, they started to listen. He began to notice something else, small changes in himself. His reaction time was faster, his vision sharper, and when he closed his eyes, he could sense the brood not just as a feeling, but as flashes of thought. He didn't tell Zira, not yet, because Marcus Hale had learned something long ago in the human military. Knowledge was the best weapon, and right now, he needed every weapon he could get. The galaxy had a way of spreading news fast. Marcus didn't know how, but within a few cycles of the attack by Queen Vera, rumors had reached every corner of known space. The Xerix Queen Zira carries a brood for the first time in 100 cycles, and with the rumors came danger. It wasn't just rival Xerix queens anymore. Human intelligence channels intercepted chatter from other alien factions, species who still remembered the Swarm's brutal wars. Some were terrified that the Xerix would rise again. Others saw an opportunity to steal the brood for their own purposes. Marcus stood in the Queen's war chamber, watching a three-dimensional map projected in the air. Red markers blinked across the galaxy, enemy fleets on the move. Zira's claws tapped the table rhythmically, a sign of deep thought. "They come like carrion beasts smelling blood," Marcus studied the map. "They're not coming like carrion beasts. They are carrion beasts. The moment they think you're weak, they'll tear you apart." Her black eyes shifted to him. "Then I will not be weak." Training the Xerix guards had changed them. They moved faster now, fought in coordinated groups, and understood concepts like covering fire and staged retreats. Marcus had even convinced the Queen to integrate scavenged human and alien tech into their organic weapons, but he knew that wouldn't be enough against an entire galaxy. "What's our play?" Marcus asked. "You can't stay here. Too many ways in, too many enemies who know where you are." The Queen's crest shimmered as she tilted her head. "You suggest flight?" "I suggest movement," Marcus replied. "Humans have a saying, a moving target is harder to hit." Her mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Then we move, but the brood chambers cannot be disturbed." "That's fine," Marcus said. "We move them too." The operation began that same cycle. Marcus oversaw the relocation of the brood pods to a heavily shielded section of the dreadnought. He set up choke points and automated defenses using scavenged tech from wrecked ships. The Zyrics weren't happy about moving the brood, but the Queen's orders silenced any protest. As they worked, Marcus felt the link with the brood growing stronger. Sometimes he could feel emotions, hunger, curiosity, and something like trust. It made him uneasy. He reminded himself they were alien insects. They weren't human. But the feeling didn't go away. 3 cycles later, the first wave hit. It wasn't Zyrics. It was a coalition of smaller species, pirates, mercenaries, and opportunists, hoping to make a quick profit by stealing the brood. Their ships swarmed the dreadnought, firing boarding spikes into its hull. Marcus led the defense. Personally, he moved with a squad of elite guards, using his rifle in one hand and a captured Zyrics bioblade in the other. The corridors filled with smoke and alien screams. "Push them back to the airlock!" Marcus shouted. The Zyrics guards obeyed, their newly learned tactics paying off. They formed tight formations, funneling the attackers into kill zones. One mercenary, a reptilian creature with a plasma cannon, broke through the line. Marcus didn't hesitate. He threw his blade, the weapon burying itself in the alien's neck. The body collapsed in a hiss of steam. By the end of the battle, the floors were slick with blood, red, green, and blue. The brood chamber remained untouched, but the victory was short-lived. That same day, a message arrived. It wasn't from another Zyrics queen or a pirate leader. It was from the Galactic Council itself. The Council was a coalition of the most powerful species, including humans, who acted as peacekeepers. The holographic image of a counselor flickered in the war chamber. It was a tall, silver-skinned being with 6 eyes. "Queen Zyra of the Zyrics Swarm," the counselor said in a calm but firm voice. "The reemergence of your brood is a matter of galactic security. You are ordered to surrender them into Council custody for containment." Zyra's mandibles spread in a hiss. "The brood belongs to me. They are my children." The counselor's gaze shifted to Marcus. "Captain Hale, you are human. Your people are part of the Council. You understand the danger of a new swarm. Assist us, and you will be returned to your fleet with full honors." Marcus felt the Queen's eyes on him. He knew what the Council feared. The swarm's last great war had killed billions. If the brood hatched and grew, history could repeat itself. But he also knew surrendering them wasn't a simple solution. If the Council got them, they might just wipe them out completely. "I'm not handing them over," Marcus said finally. The counselor's expression hardened. "Then you are choosing the side of a known galactic threat. We will act accordingly." The transmission cut. That night, Marcus sat alone in his quarters, staring at the wall. His mind was a battlefield. Back on Earth, he'd fought to protect humanity against alien threats. Now he was protecting an alien brood against humanity's allies. He didn't trust the Zyrics. Not fully. But he also couldn't shake the feeling in his chest. The connection to the brood. He didn't know if it was just the nanotech link or something deeper. The door opened quietly. Queen Zyra stepped inside, her massive frame filling the doorway. "You defied your council," she said softly. Marcus looked up. "I didn't do it for you." Her mandibles clicked in faint amusement. "Of course not." "But you did it." She stepped closer, her shadow falling over him. "The others will come. More queens, more fleets, the council itself. We will need more than claws and guns to survive." Marcus nodded slowly. "I know. And I have a plan." The next cycle, the dreadnought left its position and began moving through uncharted space. Marcus had chosen the route carefully, through dense asteroid fields and nebulae that made scanning difficult. He also began sending coded messages to a handful of trusted human contacts, not to betray the Queen, but to quietly gather resources. Supplies, information. If the galaxy wanted the brood, they would have to go through him first. But deep down, Marcus knew this was only delaying the inevitable. Sooner or later, all sides would converge, and when they did, he would have to make a choice that could change the fate of the galaxy forever. The Zyrex dreadnought glided through the red mist of a nebula, its dark, spined silhouette hidden from most scanners. The air inside was tense. Guards patrolled every corridor, their sharp limbs clicking in nervous rhythm. Marcus Hale stood in the brood chamber, watching over the glowing egg pods. Dozens of them pulsed with faint light, movement shifting inside their translucent shells. "They are almost ready," Queen Zira said from behind him. Her voice carried both pride and caution. "In less than 2 cycles, the first brood will hatch." Marcus didn't take his eyes off the pods. "That's why the galaxy won't wait 2 cycles. They'll hit us before then." She stepped closer, her crest shimmering in the chamber's light. "You speak as if you've already seen the battle." "I have," Marcus replied. "Different. Wars. Different enemies, but the signs are the same." He was right. The first attack didn't come from outside. It came from within. 2 Xerix guards, loyal to a rival queen, had infiltrated Zira's forces weeks earlier. Now they moved silently through the inner sanctum, carrying organic bombs designed to dissolve brood pods on contact. Marcus caught them by accident. He was returning from the war chamber when his visor detected unusual heat signatures moving against patrol patterns. He followed them quietly, his rifle ready. When he saw the bombs, his blood ran cold. "Drop them," he ordered, stepping into view. The traitors hissed and lunged at him. One swung a bladed arm toward his head, but Marcus ducked, driving his elbow into the attacker's midsection. His nanotech-enhanced strength sent the Zyrex crashing into the wall. The second attacker threw the bomb. Marcus caught it in midair, the acidic shell burning into his armor. With a grunt, he hurled it into an empty corridor where it exploded. In a hiss of steam, eating through the floor, the fight was over in seconds. The traitors lay dead, and the brood chamber was safe. For now. When Marcus reported to the Queen, her eyes narrowed. "So even my own guards are not safe to trust." "They never are," Marcus said. "In human wars, we call it sabotage. It means you have enemies close enough to touch you." Her mandibles clicked in frustration. "Then I will double the guard." "No," Marcus said. "You'll cut it in half and replace them with the ones I've trained personally. Small teams. Easier to watch." She considered this and finally nodded. "Very well. You will have full authority over the broods. Security." Marcus didn't miss the way her tone had changed. For the first time, it sounded like she wasn't just giving orders. She was trusting him, but trust wouldn't stop the fleets that were coming. Scouts reported that 3 major forces were closing in. Queen Vara's swarm, still hungry for Zyra's head, a coalition of mercenaries funded by unknown backers, and worst of all, a Galactic Council task force, led by human warships. When Marcus saw the data, his stomach tightened. "That's a siege. We can't fight all 3 at once." "We will fight them," Zyra said firmly. Marcus shook his head. "No. We make them fight each other first." His plan was risky. He leaked false coordinates to each faction, making it look like the dreadnought was hiding in a nearby asteroid field. He also seeded those coordinates with encrypted hints that the other factions were already moving there to claim the brood. The trap was set. 3 days later, sensors picked up the battle. The asteroid field lit up with weapons fire as Queen Vara's swarm clashed with the mercenaries, and the council ships joined in. Marcus watched the chaos from the war chamber, feeling a grim satisfaction. "That should buy us time," he said. But Zira didn't relax. Her black eyes stayed fixed on the display. "You are clever, human, but the council will not be fooled for long. When they learn the truth, they will come with all their strength." Time ran out faster than expected. A council frigate, damaged in the asteroid battle, had limped away and stumbled directly into the dreadnought's hiding place. Before they could destroy it, it transmitted their location to the galaxy. Within hours, multiple fleets were converging on the nebula. Marcus stood in the brood chamber, his rifle across his chest. His visor fed him constant updates. Enemy forces. Approaching, outer defenses ready, guard teams in position. Then the first impact shook the ship. The dreadnought's living walls groaned under the force of enemy boarding spikes. Hatches split open, spilling armed troops into the corridors. Marcus led the defense himself, moving from choke point to choke point. In one corridor, a squad of mercenaries in powered armor pushed forward, their weapons chewing through Zyrix guards. Marcus tossed a cluster of bio-grenades, organic sacks, that burst into a swarm of flesh-eating mites. The mercenaries screamed as the mites stripped their armor away. In another hall, council soldiers advanced behind energy shields. Marcus ordered a retreat, drawing them into a dead-end chamber where Zyrix warriors burst from hidden wall cavities, cutting them down in seconds. But no matter how many enemies they killed, more kept coming. By the second hour, the enemy had breached the outer brood defenses. Marcus fought like a man possessed, but he could feel the toll. The nanotech inside him kept healing his wounds, but every drop of energy it spent seemed to weaken the brood. He realized the truth in a single cold moment. Zira had been right. If he died, the brood died. But it worked both ways. If the brood died, the link would collapse, and so would he. The thought only pushed him harder. In the central brood chamber, Queen Vera herself burst through the defenses, her claws dripping with blood. Behind her, elite swarm warriors cut a path straight toward the eggs. Marcus met her head-on. He didn't have the size or strength to match her, but he had speed and precision. He ducked under her first swipe, driving his bio-blade deep into the joint of her leg. She roared, swinging again, but he rolled away and fired his rifle point-blank into her crest. It wasn't enough to kill her, but it slowed her, and that gave Zira the opening she needed. The two queens clashed, their claws sparking against each other's armored hides. Marcus held the line against Vera's warriors, cutting down any who got too close to the brood. The fight dragged on, the air thick with the smell of burning chitin and blood. Then, with a final, deafening shriek, Zira drove both claws into Vera's chest. The rival queen collapsed, her body twitching before going still. The remaining attackers broke and fled, but Marcus knew it wasn't over. Outside, the council fleet had surrounded the nebula. "They'll hit us again in minutes," he said, breathing hard. "We can't stay here." Zira's eyes narrowed. "Then we run. One last time." Marcus looked over the brood. They were so close to hatching now, he could feel it in his bones. The link between them was stronger than ever. "All right," he said. "Let's get them out." The dreadnought turned toward a dense, uncharted region of space, a place even the council dared not enter. The enemy fleets closed in, weapons charging. Marcus stood in the brood chamber, feeling every vibration of the ship's engines. He didn't know if they'd make it, but he knew one thing. If they didn't, the galaxy wasn't ready for what would come next. The battle for the alien homeworld had reached its peak. The skies burned with trails of fire from ships crashing down. The ground shook as explosions ripped through enemy lines. Human and alien soldiers fought side by side, their weapons glowing. In the smoke-filled air, Commander Ryland stood at the front, armor scorched, sword humming with energy. Beside him, Queen Serenia, the towering ruler of the Zalari, held her staff. It pulsed with a strange light, life itself, the power of her unborn heir growing inside her. Ryland knew what this battle meant. If they failed, the enemy warlord, Zaroth, would take the queen, claim her child, and turn the prophecy into a weapon of destruction. If they won, The child would be a symbol of peace between humans and Zalari. The queen's breath was heavy, not from weakness, but from the strange mix of battle and the life she carried. "The final wave is coming," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes glowed with fierce determination. "Then we hold this line," Rylan replied, tightening his grip on his weapon. The enemy's last push, the horizon turned dark. Massive war beasts, armored in black metal, marched forward. Behind them came Zaroth's elite soldiers, chanting in their deep, guttural tongue. Every instinct in Rylan's body screamed at him to move, to charge. But he waited. Patience was something humans had learned in this war. Timing could mean the difference between survival and death. When the beasts drew close, Rylan raised his hand. "Now!" From hidden positions, human snipers and Zalari energy archers opened fire. Explosions ripped through the enemy ranks, but the beasts kept coming. Rylan leapt forward, charging straight at them. He wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for Serenia, for the child, for the strange bond that had grown between them. The duel in the chaos, the ground split as Zaroth himself emerged. 7 feet tall, with burning red eyes, he carried a weapon that looked part blade, part living creature. "Human," Zaroth growled, stepping forward. "You should never have touched what is mine." Rylan's jaw tightened. "She was never yours." The two clashed. Sparks flew as blade met blade. Every strike shook the ground. Rylan fought with a mix of human unpredictability and trained precision, while Zaroth's attacks were heavy and merciless. Serenia watched, her grip on the staff tightening. She wanted to step in, but this was Rylan's fight. The breaking point Zaroth's blade slashed across Rylan's armor, sending him stumbling. Pain flared through his chest, but he didn't stop. He remembered every soldier he had lost in this war, every moment of sacrifice, and he pushed harder. In a sudden move, Rylan feinted left, then spun right, driving his sword deep into Zaroth's side. The warlord roared, grabbing Rylan by the neck, lifting him off the ground. "You cannot stop what is coming," Zaroth snarled. Before he could finish, a beam of pure energy shot from Serenia's staff, striking Zaroth in the chest. The warlord froze, light pouring from his wounds before collapsing into the dirt. Rylan dropped to the ground, coughing, his vision blurred. The end of the war, the enemy lines broke. Without their leader, Zaroth's forces scattered. Some surrendered, others fled into the wastelands. The humans and Zalari cheered, but it was not a cheer of joy. It was the sound of relief. Rylan looked up at Serenia. She was already walking toward him, her tall frame casting a shadow over him. "You saved us," she said softly. "No," Rylan replied, shaking his head. "We saved each other." A new era weeks later, the capital city of the Zalari shone under a clear sky. The war was over. Ships from both worlds filled the skies, not with weapons, but with trade and travelers. Inside the great hall, Rylan stood beside Serenia as she addressed the gathered leaders. Her voice was strong, her presence commanding. "Today we begin a new chapter," she declared. "Our worlds are no longer enemies. The child I carry is the living proof of that bond." Murmurs filled the hall, some in awe, some in shock, but no one dared challenge her words. After the speech, Rylan found himself standing with her in the royal garden. The flowers glowed faintly under the alien sun, and a soft breeze carried the scent of life. "You're going to be a mother," Rylan said, almost in disbelief. Serenia smiled faintly. "And you will be a father." The promise. There was no need for grand speeches between them now. They had been through battles, blood, and loss. What mattered was the future they would protect together. Rylan placed a hand gently on her stomach. "I'll be here, no matter what comes." Serenya's eyes softened. Then our child will grow in a world where humans and Zalari stand as one. The stars above shone brighter that night, as if the galaxy itself approved. The human warrior and the alien queen had not only ended a war, they had begun a legacy. And somewhere, deep in the quiet of the palace, a new heartbeat echoed, a sign that the future was already here.